It's not like cancer some independent thing that exists in a vacuum. It's just a representation and a culmination of unhealthy choices building up to the point where your body can't take it anymore in that way and screams out for help. It's a built-in mechanism of our own bodies. If you're still alive, you're still in the game. If you're still
Yeah.
alive, you're still in the game. There's something that you could be doing.
Welcome to the Everyday Epigenetics Raw, Real, Relatable podcast. I'm your host, Susan Robbins, epigenetic human performance coach. This is where we discuss all things lifestyle, environment, food, exercise, work, mind, and social interaction as they pertain to epigenetic expression in a way that's relatable to everyone. So if you're ready to start viewing you as an individual, take control of your life and health, and get results, buckle up, here we go. Welcome to the Everyday Epigenetics Raw, Real, Relatable podcast. I'm your host, Susan Robbins, and this is the place where we talk about everything lifestyle and environment and how it relates to our genetic expression. And I want everybody who's listening today to share this podcast with everyone they know, because this is going to be hugely impactful. Every single one of us, I don't know of anyone that has not had cancer touch us in some way. I'm going to get choked up here. This just hit me as I'm thinking this. It's touched someone we know, someone we love, may have even touched ourselves. And I don't, many of you out there know I lost my mother at 14 to lung and brain cancer. She was 42. Lifestyle came into play there. And then my dearest childhood friend at 36 to breast cancer. And when this person who is my guest today messaged me about coming onto my podcast, he said, cancer is not some genetic destiny outside of our control. And I was like, amen, brother. We are in control. Lifestyle plays a massive part. And I just immediately said, I need to have you on my show, and booked him immediately. This was like Friday, I think. And here we are doing this like a couple days later. And this is going to be a compelling podcast. And I think it's going to offer so much hope to anybody out there. And even coaches, pay attention, because there may be some opportunities for you. So my guest today is Zakariya Frank. He is the CMO of BeatCancer. BeatCancer is a 47-year-old nonprofit organization that educates people on holistic ways to prevent or beat cancer. In addition to, get this, free personalized counseling for cancer patients. They have a wide variety of educational programs where they've trained hundreds of holistic cancer coaches around the world. I didn't even know this existed. Known as Zach the Health King, he also hosts a podcast which is titled The Health King's Court, Ancient Wisdom, Modern Health. And in this podcast, he dives into a variety of holistic health topics with guest experts and covers all matters of physical, mental, emotional, spiritual health, and anything in between. Very similar to here, which is why we're going to mesh here. He has a passion for impacting the world from the ground up. Sing the song of my people. He enjoys bringing actionable and empowering bits of information to people that allow them to live longer, happier, and more fulfilled lives. And he believes that, love this, healthier individuals result in healthier families, healthier communities, and a healthier world. I resonate with every single thing from your bio, Zakariya. So thank you so much for reaching out, and welcome to my show.
Thank you. Thank you very much for the welcoming, Susan. Just a similar story to you reading my message. As soon as I saw your post, I really wanted to collaborate. There's so many posts out there. Everyone's got a podcast. Everyone's got something to say, but something about yours and your wording and your mission, I very much resonated with as well. So it's an honor to be here, and we will see what comes of it.
Oh, thank you. This is going to be great. And so
But when I say tell everybody at my beginning of my podcast, I'm like, buckle up. This is going to be a good one. Buckle up. You got two Jersey people here. We're not afraid to hit on any subject here. And yeah, just sit back, enjoy this. Is going to be a fantastic conversation. So what I would like to start with is the story of the founding of the BeatCancer organization. I listened to you on a podcast. As soon as I heard about you, I had to listen. And I was just fascinated at how this came into play and would love to know that how you also came into the organization as well.
For sure. So the story of our founding as an organization is one of an all too relatable tragedy. Around 50 years ago, there was a woman also named Susan, and she was a career woman and also a loving wife. She was an academic, perpetual student of different academic nature. She was a linguist in study, and her husband ended up getting cancer. Her husband then proceeded to go to conventional cancer treatment centers, received conventional treatments, and Susan got to watch firsthand what this does to someone. She got to watch his physical health take a drastic decline, his mental health, his emotional health. She got to watch him lose his will to live. She got to watch him really just get drained financially, physically, emotionally, mentally, all these different ways. And while this was going on, she thought to herself, there has to be a better way. There has to be something else to do about this. This can't be right. This can't be it. 50 years ago, there was no www dot anything. There
No
was no
Google.
internet. Susan did, as a resourceful woman, whatever she could do. She went to libraries and started opening up books. She would call up doctors, researchers, go to holistic health conventions, just anything she could do to start learning about holistic and natural and more original ways of understanding the body, understanding health, and healing the body. And the more that she started to dive into these kinds of things, the more she saw, wow, this is powerful. This is real. Oh my God, I need to learn more. I need to dive deeper. And so she just dedicated her days as much as she could to building a working knowledge of how to heal the body and what is cancer and what is the body and what is going on and how do we right what has been so wrong. Unfortunately, at that moment in time, Susan's husband's cancer was rather aggressive and late stage, and the chemo and radiation really hit him hard. And above all, he really didn't put up a fight mentally. He did take the diagnosis to heart, and he ended up passing away right on time. Now, what does right on time mean? He actually died right when the doctors originally mentioned that he was going to. And that brings up a very interesting question because are doctors that good? Do they have expiration labels that they can read and tell you exactly when you're going to die? Or is there something going on where they tell you this? They,
It gets
they tell
primed.
you this prognosis. Exactly. It gets
Yep.
primed. We repeat it to ourselves. We have other people repeating it back to us.
Mm.
And our body follows what our mind is telling it to do.
Yep.
If our mind is telling our body, hey, all right, that's all you get. It's very fascinating what our mind can do. Everyone understands the placebo effect. We can
Mhm.
heal ourselves, but we can also harm ourselves to a great degree. And what's so
Oh,
fascinating is that when he died, he actually was cancer free.
wow.
He didn't have any cancer left in his body, according to science, which, according to their statistics, means that the conventional avenues were a success. Statistically, that's a success. Cancer is gone, right? They did a good job at killing the tumor, but
What else did it get?
exactly, they killed that host, that whole person, that human around that tumor all the same. The
Mhm.
collateral damage was too great. And so, with this devastation, Susan formed her mission to not allow this to happen to other people and to other families.
Mhm.
Imagine knowing that it didn't have to be that way
Yeah.
and then going through that loss all the same. So she formed the Center for Advancement in Cancer Education. That's our official name. We're a
Okay.
registered nonprofit here in the United States. But because that formal name is a bit of a mouthful, we also go by beatcancer.org. So we
Got
keep
it.
it plain and simple and short and sweet. And we go by beatcancer.org. And so the mission from the very beginning has just been education,
Mhm.
empowerment through education, getting the information out there. There was a delay in Susan being able to even implement anything for her husband because of how slow it was to learn back then.
Oh, yeah, you had to go to the library. She
Yeah.
had to make the calls. She had to see people. That's time consuming.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Absolutely. And she carried out that mission at the beginning in all the different ways that she learned herself. And so she just sought to speed up the process for everybody. So right off the bat, she started writing her own articles, books, doing radio shows, talk shows, doing in-person live speaking events, working with cancer patients themselves, working with medical professionals and training them on what she had learned, training other people to go off to start spreading the information and multiplying how she was able to get the information out in that way. And that's just been the mission: education, spreading information, and allowing people to use that information, use those tools, and come to conclusions and figure out what they want to do. And so that's essentially how the organization came about. And over our almost 50 years, we've had different iterations and we've modernized. And especially when the current CEO, Carl Wagner, took over, he has sought to modernize us and bring us into the 21st century and increase the efficiency of which we can disseminate information through a variety of programs. And that's the original legacy that we carry. We carry Susan's original legacy of having her pain turn into helping others.
That's usually where things like this come from, sadly. Something or someone, something tragic leads to look at the amount of lives she's affecting because of one person that it affected her so much.
Yeah.
So it's
And in that way, uh, her suffering and ultimately her husband's death are not in vain. It's
no,
all an honor.
yeah, exactly, exactly. So how did you get involved?
It's a funny story. I don't know. Maybe this was destiny. Maybe this was right place, right time. I don't know.
Always
But
is.
the so I'm someone that has always had a healthy distrust of mainstream outlets of things. And especially as I came into adulthood and really started to learn the ways of the world and what's going on, I started to implement changes in my own life in a holistic direction because I very much love myself. And if I learn that there's something going on or there's many things going on that are vested in me being unwell, I wanna be a thorn in that thing's side, and I wanna be well in spite of it, and how could you not do better once you learn better? And so I've dove down pretty much any rabbit hole there is to dive down in regards to what's going on in the world and health and all these things that are impacting us in our physical, emotional, mental states, and the more I implemented conscious changes and conscious living habits, the better a life I've lived. And I think it would take a psychopath to experience that and not want to share that with others. And so I've always been someone that, as I've been learning along the way, just been mentioning things to people around me, whether it's loved ones or people that I strike up conversation with. That was posted up making hundreds of posts on Instagram about all the ways in the world a couple of years ago. I want to get this information out there to empower people. And so that was what was going on a personal front. It was never a profession of mine. It was never an area of work per se. But through networking and attending some networking events, I just so happened to meet this really cool gentleman. We got to chatting. It was a small, intimate group at this event that we were at. And he introduced himself and said, "Hey, nice to meet you. I'm Carl. I work with a nonprofit organization in the holistic cancer space." And I said, "Wow. So do you talk about this and this and this, or do you go this route and talk about these things and these things and these things?" And he just looks at me and his eyes light up and he says, "Whoa, who are you? Like, why do you know these things?" Like, he's not used to telling that to people and them being able to even meet him at that conversation or even be interested, really. So his eyes lit up and then I lit up and then we just really jived throughout the night. And the more we got to know each other on a personal or even philosophical level, the more we just really jived. And so I followed up with him the next day, said, "Hey, it was wonderful to meet you. Thanks for, the good conversation. Maybe we could do it again." And he said, "Yeah, actually, let's take a meeting if you're available." We hop on a meeting and it turns out that he doesn't just work with this holistic cancer organization, he's the CEO of the organization.
Mhm.
And it turns out that he's looking for someone to work with him because he had been essentially running it by himself
Wow.
for 10 years. And it just so happened that I was at a place in my life where I was looking for my next primary work endeavor and looking for something to dive into and really wanting something meaningful. And the rest is history. We had no idea what this partnership would look like. We had no idea what I'd be doing in the organization. We had no idea what the future would look like. But we've just figured it out along the way. And since then, we've seen such a wonderful growth in the organization. We've seen such a wonderful impact that we're able to make. And it's something that I'm very, very proud to have the opportunity of and very grateful to have the opportunity of. So, yeah, I don't know. Was it right place, right time?
Right place,
Was
right.
it? Yeah,
That was pre-planned. It was supposed to happen,
perhaps.
and you just
Exactly.
went with it. I love it. I love it. So let's delve in to the your messaging as far as epigenetics not controlling cancer, because I think this is just such a major part. It's with any disease. You hear people, "Oh, well, it's in their genes. It's in my genes, or his or her genes. Mom or dad had it, so I'm destined for it." I sit here and just my mind just literally wants to explode when I hear people say this. I mean, when like you said, the awareness, the consciousness that you went through in learning about you and how to be optimal for yourself, it was the same thing that I went through. It was the more because I kept saying I'm not optimal. That's how I actually found DNA. Started with the DNA part was I was doing holistic health coaching and it wasn't enough. Wasn't enough for me. It wasn't getting me optimal enough. Too much guesswork. And I wanted the next level. And that's how I actually found the DNA and went into that personalization of things. And very similar to you as far as just making sure that leaving no stone unturned to feel and be my very best. That's where I want to get people. And this reason is because we want to prevent things like cancer and disease. Tell me, let's just dive in, like I said, to your thoughts on genetics not being the things that are we control our genes, not the opposite, basically.
Yeah, the concept of genetics being the end all be all is one of the greatest scams of the modern world, and there's certainly no shortage to choose from. And it's fundamentally a disempowering positioning and a disempowering mental schema to be out here thinking that nothing is controllable and genes determine this, and there's nothing you can do about it. And no, my parents had this, so I'm gonna get it, or it's nonsense. It's genuine nonsense, and it's a very damaging mental schema. It can either fill you with nihilism and the concept that, oh, it doesn't matter, there's nothing I should do anyway, so doesn't I might as well do the bad
Just roll with
things,
it. Yeah.
or it can fill someone with a lot of fear, and then that itself can give you all these ailments. It's such a damaging psyop. It's a psychological operation to pull over on everyone that everything's out of your control and just trust the conventional outlets of information. It's very damaging. And the problem is that there's a hint of truth to it. There is a hint of truth to it. Yes, DNA is real, right? We pass our genes, we pass our DNA onto our offspring. And if we have damaged DNA, damaged genes for whatever reason, and then we reproduce, yeah, you might perhaps pass some less than optimal genes onto the next generation. That makes sense, right? But the side of the equation that gets completely left out of the conversation is the epigenetics. And that's not like some made up thing. Like that's a science thing. In this cult of science, even they will say it.
This is where you want to follow science. This is actual science.
Exactly. Exactly. But this is not talked about enough. So yeah, even if you've been dealt some lesser cards in life through some damaged DNA, then you can still choose how to play those cards. You could pick up new ones, you could put some down, right? It's not just the end all be all. At a poker table, anyone at that table can win that round. It doesn't matter what cards you were dealt. Yeah, it might be a little harder or easier for someone. You might have some garbage cards, and someone might have a
We all
straight
do.
flush.
We
But
all doing DNA. We all have some garbage, and we all have some good.
that's true. That's true. And what makes it even more complicated and can get people stressed is that a lot of the times people are generations down the drain of poor health choices, compounding the damage that they've been passed down and then passing down worse damage to their offspring.
Mhm.
And there's a bit of scariness in that maybe we cannot repair ourselves to what it means to be a 100% optimized human within our individual lifetimes. Maybe you won't ever get back to 100%. Likely not in a lot of cases. But does that mean we should throw our hands up and not try to be a little better or even a lot better? Say you're even at 10% what you can be. Would it not be prudent of you to try to get to 20, 30, 40, 70, 80, 90, maybe 95? Who knows?
Totally achievable.
You
I
could
see it
still live a
every day.
better life.
Exactly. Why would you not want to have a better quality of life? Yeah, I see people just saying, and I don't know if you hear this too, but they say, you know what? I'm old. I'm set in my ways, and we're all going to die anyway. So I'm going to die. If I'm going to die, I'm going to die happy. Hear this, sir. But here's my favorite: everything in moderation. I say that keeps me in business because what's moderate? What is moderation?
Yeah.
And they'll just throw caution to the wind, and they eat everything and they drink everything, and they might be. Are they really happy at that time? Are they really?
Yeah.
Because I can't.
Usually not.
You can
Usually
tell me
not.
that someone that's 30 pounds overweight has issues moving around, doesn't sleep well, is not fully present at home with their family. They're not fully present in their job because they don't feel great. Even they don't even really feel good. That just doesn't make sense to me. Why you would want to keep doing the same thing? That to me is the definition of insanity. Doing
It,
that same thing over and over, and you're not going to get any different results. You're going to get worse, and
yeah.
likely you are going to bring in a disease, which is dis-ease in the body. It's the body is out of balance. That's all disease is.
It
There's
truly
something.
is insanity. It truly is insanity. It like reminds me of an old adage. It's like a fish doesn't know that it's wet. It just lives in water.
Mhm.
People don't know how unwell they are because they've only ever existed in this state of perpetual unwellness and dis-ease in so many different capacities. They don't even realize that it's not supposed to be that way. People have this concept that ailment is some inherent function of existence and of aging.
The aging part, especially.
Yeah, exactly. And then they don't understand that this unconscious basis point to view the world in is what ends up manifesting the very ailments that then confirm what they thought was going to happen anyway because they didn't do anything about it. Yeah. If you go down the default avenue of anything in life and any health decisions in the modern world, yeah, you're going to get those common ailments, but
Mhm.
they're common. They're not normal, and they're certainly not natural and inherent. But it takes conscious avoidance and conscious action in certain regards to avoid what is common and to live a healthy existence and a natural, more natural existence in this very artificial world. You can't
Mhm.
just leave things up to the the society to keep you healthy because that's not society's vested interest. You have to be your own advocate. You have to be your own researcher. You have to be your own thinker. But people have outsourced every single one of these things
Mhm.
to these so-called experts telling them what to do, and they don't question what their agenda is. They don't question who prescribed them as the expert and authority in that field. Like it's such a small mental model that a lot of people are existing in. And then these things get compounded because these poor health choices make it more difficult to even cognate because they calcify and destroy our mental health and our gut health and all of our different healths and a connection between our physical bodies and our spiritual ethereal selves. And they make it harder to ever break out of that cycle. And so most people just die as fish, never realizing that they're wet. Like,
Yeah,
yeah.
absolutely. Absolutely. You're you're so spot on with this. The consciousness, and you think about it. Look at when the whole COVID thing happened. They could get me going on that. But we had the lockdown. And what were the things that were essential? They closed the gyms. I saw tape up, yellow, and I'm a retired cop, yellow like on crime scene looking tape around playgrounds, like you can't come here. But the things that were deemed essential were liquor stores, weed shops. I'm in Colorado. Come on, weed shops, right? And right there, I'm going, this isn't. This just is not making sense to me. What is it? The things. These are the things that are taking people out of consciousness and awareness. Drugs, alcohol, all these things that, like you said, cloud everything and create more disease in the body. And closing down the things that affect epigenetic expression massively, like exercise and community, like keeping people apart. All of those things, it just blew my mind. And then you see, look at all the how disease rates just taken off. I think it all just plays together.
Yeah,
And last,
people think the dark ages were some far, far away time.
hello, we're here. It's just modern times, but
We might have iPhones and screens and stuff like this, but anyone who is aware of really what's going on in the world and the barbaric insanity truly that's pulled over on everyone right under everyone's noses but hiding under the guise of being good things, it's truly obscene. And the level of average consciousness, although I do believe it is rising, being at such a low and just abysmal state and having been that way for quite some time now, I it's a dark age where we've been living in the dark ages.
yeah. And I agree with you that more people are coming around. You think back in the day, meditation for hippies or for the woo woo, right? Anything around creating more consciousness and awareness and mind body connection. All of that was like, oh, these are the weird people. These are the right? These are the hippie funky people. And now you see it. It's becoming so much more into almost into the mainstream where there's groups and I see this with what I do. There's energy healing and energy work, where again, it's just creating so much more awareness and consciousness that people want to be a part of this because they're tired of being told what to do with things that make them feel worse and are getting them really nowhere. And like you said, also with you have to be your own best medical advocate. You have to be. You go into the doctors, and the first thing they want to do is throw a prescription at you without even learning. They don't ask anything. What's your lifestyle like? Or just go ahead and lose some weight. And nothing is personalized. You're in there for 5 minutes in a traditional doctor, and you have to learn as much as you can about you, your body, your mind, all the things that you specifically need to thrive, and have your environment tailored to you, not you trying to fit the environment. And that's where I think so many people are going wrong. What are some let's talk about what are some of the things that you all tout as far as holistically for cancer prevention?
It's really in regard. It's everything, right? I always say that we're a cancer organization, but we're really just a health organization because the things that will help not get cancer is just everything that will help you be healthy in all regards, period. And the things that will lead someone towards having an instance of cancer are just blanket unhealthy things. Like it's one in the same. It's not like cancer some independent thing that exists in a vacuum. It's just a representation and a culmination of unhealthy choices building up to the point where your body can't take it anymore in that way and screams out for help. It's a built-in mechanism of our own bodies. Cancer isn't some random thing that's even outside of ourselves. It is a built-in function of the body. It's our own cells that have turned sour for whatever reason, because and it might have even been a good reason. See, our body is smart and our body wants to protect us. And our bodies face a barrage of harmful things really every day.
Every day, everywhere.
And this is on both sides. This can be on a physical side through physical toxins in the food, water, body products, clothing, different aerosols, different things that we might be exposed to in our day-to-day lives. Those things build up in the body, and our body has wonderful detoxification avenues and organs, but they can only take so much before they have to say, all right, we can't deal with all this. Tuck it away in the junk drawer in the spare room over there. And eventually that room overflows. But then there's also the emotional and the energetic side of our bodies, things that it faces. A lot of people, I would say most people, are living stressed,
Okay.
living in bad relationships, living feeling disconnected and unfulfilled, and perhaps having experienced some form of trauma in their life that they haven't ever resolved out of not knowing how, or not even recognizing that it happened, or not even understanding that it's still affecting them.
Mhm.
And energy cannot be destroyed. It can only be transformed and moved around. And when we have such strong negative emotional energy through either a singular event or a series of events or just a long-term existence in a negative state, that energy, if not resolved and transmuted, it goes somewhere. It
Sure
has to
does.
go somewhere. And our body will tuck that energy away. And it'll actually tuck that energy away in very specific places.
Mhm.
Very specific types of emotional energy and traumas tuck away in very specific places. And it's actually been even scientifically observed with significance that certain emotional patterns correlate with specific instances and types of cancer. And so it's just as valid in the modern science world as it has been for the old ancient civilizations and cultures along the way. The chakras, the meridian lines, all these different energetic blockages. There's different verbiages to talk about it, but it's also been scientifically observed with significance as well. And our bodies are facing all of these things, and the physical and the spiritual, they compound back and forth. If one side's off, it'll knock off the physical side of that, and that physical side will then knock off that spiritual side. And people are down this conveyor belt of sickness and disease and having no priviness to the fact that it's even going on, because then they think that all these things are fine. Oh, I never dealt with the trauma of experiencing my childhood in that way, but I'm fine. Oh, I eat processed foods and was fed a bunch of garbage for years, but I'm fine. This is, I hate that word, I'm fine, because it's been used to just mean I'm still alive. So I guess those negative things didn't matter at all, and it just doesn't matter. And it's those same people that say things that they're fine that then experience these random problems later and don't connect the dots. So yeah, our bodies are experiencing a barrage of toxic overload, and that's what ultimately results in cancer.
It's so interesting. And I've had a toxin expert on, and we talked about that, the toxin bucket, where, like you said, our bodies have great detox systems. Now, some of us might not be optimally set up genetically for that, but we can work with that. Again, that's just another thing we can work with. And we're not going to be able to avoid every toxin that's out there, like you said, because it is a barrage we're hit with 24/7, right down to the damn water we drink. It's just, we're going to be hit. And you make your best choices. And when it comes up to the awareness of, this is something I know I'm going to do this day, or I'm going to be exposed to this, and I can't control that, but I can sure control this one. It's really the kind of that picking and choosing so that your toxin bucket doesn't runneth over, right?
Exactly.
And it's lifestyle. It's all, everything you're saying. It's all lifestyle. And people think lifestyle just food and fitness. With the 6 different priorities that I work with, yeah, food and fitness, okay, they're in there. But then you've got social, like you said, and then you've got work. And so many people are in jobs that they hate, where they feel unfulfilled. You don't think that's going to come into the rest of your life, whether it's relationships or whether with your body, because it's creating such that stress. And I also agree with what you said about people living with so much stress. They have no idea that they say, because I'll even ask people, how's your stress level? I don't have any stress. Okay, anything that creates a reaction is stress. And us talking right now is stress, right? Everybody has stress. So I think people just think that stress is these big events that happen that just make you go, oh my God. But it's an everyday life. And then we have good stresses. Exercise is a good stress on the body, but we still need recovery from it too. You can't go 7 days, no recovery, and think your body's just going to keep doing fine, fine, fine. And so there's so many aspects to lifestyle that are not just food and fitness. However, the shit you put in your body, people, it matters, and it matters hugely. And what time you put it in your body, the types of things, all of it matters. The types of exercise, the timing of the exercise, all of those things affect how our body processes. And so let's talk. So if we're talking lifestyle, it's just lifestyle as a whole is will prevent cancer. You want to eat a good antioxidant filled healthy diet. Lots of good fruits and veggies. I'm sorry, carnivore people, I don't agree. I'm not I'm not a proponent, and I know I get haters for that, but I'm not a proponent of this strict keto and carnivore diets, especially for long term. I think they're lacking so much nutrient density with antioxidant foods, and that's just my thought there. So, that being said, but diet, you got to move. People have to move. People are sedentary as hell anymore, and no one's getting out there and get their body moving. You have to do these things. You have to eat good foods, get your body moving, and like you said about the thoughts, our thoughts impact every single thing we do. Our body doesn't know, our mind doesn't know what's reality and what's not. So you sit there and say, you've got a diagnosis for 6 months to live. You start thinking that, like you said, your body doesn't know any differently. Right. 5 months down, time to shut down. And people literally will themselves into that. And on the converse, how about the people that will themselves to live and say, this is, I just got diagnosed with cancer. This isn't a death sentence. I'm going to live life to the fullest. And they start changing their mindset. They change from despair to gratitude. They start doing the things they love. They start connecting more. They start eating healthier. And isn't it strange how you've seen people? I know someone who's had stage 4 breast cancer and flipped it around. How does this happen? Just by doing that and didn't go the conventional route of treatment.
Yeah,
It's
exactly.
it just doesn't make sense. So let's talk about your organization now, because I am just jamming on this. The counseling for cancer patients, the educational part, and then the educational part to train holistic cancer coaches. So please go into this, because this is so impactful.
Yeah. Yeah, we've got a good handful of programs going on. So one of the flagships that we offer, again, we're a charity. We want to do as much as we can for absolutely free as our gift and our mission in the world. And so we have an in-house counselor. She is a several decades of experience naturopathic doctor here in the United States. And we offer counseling with her for absolutely free. So anyone in the English speaking world, because she's only an English speaker, can call and get in contact with her, and she will do a consultation, a thorough intake and evaluation based on your history, and work with you, develop a plan, and see it through in an ongoing way. Call her twice a week, once a week, and as needed to get to where you want to be and where you need to be. And it doesn't matter what step along the way of a cancer experience you may be, whether it's freshly diagnosed or farther from that, or even trying to prevent a recurrence. She will work with people that are willing and able to go entirely holistic in their healing. She will also work with people who are attending conventional treatment centers, because the same things that will help the body heal in the first place will also help the body not suffer such grave consequences from the conventional modalities. So she'll work with people in all regards and meet people where they are. We also have group calls every single week. Thursday evening at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, we have an open forum group Zoom call available for anyone to join. And we encourage all people to join, whether you have a cancer concern yourself, know someone that does, or you just love to learn. You can hop on the call. You can be on cam if you want, but it's not obligatory. You can hop on the mic to ask questions if you want. You don't have to. You can put questions in the chat. And it's really just an open forum Q&A. I'm on there. The CEO's on there. Several of our holistic cancer coaches are on there. And we'll answer questions. We'll point to tips and tricks and resources. And we'll just discuss different things in regards to health and healing and cancer and really anything. It's a fun community aspect to our organization. And that's so essential because cancer is very isolating. Most people, they feel a degree of isolation and loneliness already in life. But you add a cancer diagnosis onto this, and it becomes even more tunneled for most people. And either they feel alone because they don't want to tell anyone around them, or they feel alone because they do tell anyone around them, and then those people start freaking out, and then you have to pull away because it's just too much for you to handle. Everyone's got an opinion, whether it's good, whether it's bad. People are going to start talking. You're hearing one thing here, two things there, a third thing from your doctor. Like, it's a lot of noise, and it's hard to make sense of any of it. And so it's really nice to be a part of a community where you can just objectively discuss different things and share experiences and share knowledge and tools and resources. It's completely free to join those Zoom calls, and we certainly encourage anyone to. If you're not able to join and catch us there, you can watch the replays on our different social medias. You can email us questions and we'll pitch it to the group on the next call, and you can catch that recording if you weren't able to attend live. We really just want to get questions explored for the betterment of learning. And, we never seek to be an echo chamber.
Mhm.
We have people, even within the organization, that have very different philosophies, very different dietary recommendations, different backgrounds and experiences. And that's awesome. We don't want to be an echo chamber. We want to be a hub and a community of different discourse and discussion.
Collaboration.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And this way there's something for everybody. So that's another way to get involved. You can connect with us on socials. We're putting out content more than ever this way as you're scrolling, because people are already on socials, right? You're already going to be there. So you might
Yep.
as well have something that can give you a little nugget of information or two along the way. We have hundreds of blog articles to read through. That's a wonderful way to just learn a little more in depth. Then we have our educational courses. So, like I said, we're a charity. We want to do as much as we can for free. Everything I've mentioned to this point is free, but it costs money to exist. So, in the name of self sufficiency, we try to support our own endeavors financially by selling some educational courses as well. And so the educational course is separated into three cumulative tiers, meaning each one builds upon the last. It's all the same course,
Mhm.
but it's segmented for someone to get in at
Okay.
their budget level or their interest level. The first level is called the core, and that's where we talk about the fundamentals of our mind, body, spirit approach to cancer. We talk about anti-cancer mechanisms of dietary change. We talk about stress management. We talk about setting the mental framework for healing. We talk about detoxification, because it doesn't matter if you're putting good stuff in, if you still got some bad stuff
Can't get
floating
it
around
out.
too. Exactly. So we talk about those kind of things there, and it's very powerful to build a foundation of working knowledge. Then level two is called the deep dive, because it dives a
Okay.
little deeper into both the spiritual and the scientific realms. So, on the scientific side, this is where we talk about the criteria for evaluating certain diagnoses. We talk about the rationales for implementing certain protocols in certain circumstances. But then on the spiritual side, we also talk about the emotional correlates here and the cancer prone personalities and the different emotional habits that are correlated with specific types of cancer.
Cancer
Then,
prone personality. Sorry, I gotta ask.
yeah,
Cancer prone personalities.
yeah.
Can you elaborate any on that? Because I've never heard that. The cancer prone personalities.
Yeah, of course, and it's something that is certainly a more in-depth analysis in the course itself. But at a baseline level, it goes hand in hand with what we were talking about previously of those strong emotional charges and those strong emotional energies having to go somewhere. And so,
Mhm.
when we're talking about a cancer-prone personality, I think everyone knows someone who is a victim of their circumstances, a victim of this one thing that happened 10 years ago, a victim of their childhood, a victim of their boss, a victim of their relationships. It's just everyone else's fault, and everything else has acted upon them. And that's why they can never get ahead and never win and all these things. And that has a certain very strong emotional charge to it, doesn't it?
Oh
And
boy.
that specific type of emotional charge, people in that camp and that way of being, they'll specifically often find themselves with colon cancer when
Really?
they come down with cancer. And yeah, it's very fascinating to look into, because what is the colon? The colon is an organ, physical organ, responsible for the elimination of waste.
Toxins. Toxic,
And
literally toxic crap, right?
exactly. And what are these people doing? These people that find themselves unable to eliminate the toxic emotional crap, they
Uh-huh.
can't let that shit go. They're emotionally constipated. Just so happens that ties into your physical organ that does the same on the physical side. These things make sense when you really stop to think about
100%. It's all making, as soon as you're saying this, it's all making sense. It all
it.
makes sense. Every bit of it. I'm just jamming on this.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, I'm going to take these courses because I want to learn more. Now, this is going to be my new rabbit hole.
But yeah, and there's different specific, again, it ties into traumas that end up being people's personalities out of different ways. And so, yeah, it's all related to different physical organs, every single emotion and
Yeah.
every single type of thing. So that's where we talk about those kinds of things. It's really cool. As much as I had learned and studied that kind of thing previously to joining the organization, when I took the course myself, I still learned a lot.
Oh, sure.
It's it's
Sure.
it's awesome. And so along the way, every single module has sources cited. Every single module is chock full of additional resources and links, whether that's to more of our own internal articles or even to external resources. Because we're not here to just say we're the end all be all knowledge
Hmm.
base. There's some wonderful other organizations out there too, and other resources that we point people to as much as we can because we just want people to get the information they need. So level 2 talks about those kinds of things. And then
Okay.
level 3 is where it gets the most unique, the most comprehensive, and the most impactful. So level 3 is the Holistic Cancer Coach Certification Program. This is the level that will take everything that was learned in 1 and 2 and now start to talk about how to apply it to helping other people. Because it's one thing to learn these things for yourself, it's another thing to be able to convey them in a way that you can assist the world or assist other individuals. This is the most comprehensive because it doesn't just end at the course either. After someone takes the course and passes the final exam, which then grants them their certification as a holistic cancer coach, that's where the real fun starts. That's when the real work and the real magic happens. After someone takes the course, we do anything that we can to support them in their endeavors of being a holistic cancer coach,
Hmm.
whatever that means. And that means a lot of different things to different people. A lot of our coaches act in a standard coaching capacity, just like you
Hmm.
think of any other coach, fitness coach, nutrition coach, health coach, marriage coach, basketball coach, like whatever. They are entrepreneurs that get hired as a consultant to guide someone through the endeavor and the experience and work with them in an ongoing way to
Hmm.
solve the matter. And that, of course, has variance in it as well. Certain coaches will work in person, certain online, certain hybrid. Certain coaches will work individually, one on one. Certain coaches put people in cohort groups. Certain coaches develop their own courses. There's so many different things that people can do as a coach entrepreneur. Some of them host retreats and have people fly out. And then they all spend a weekend or a week together cooking, learning, giving information, forming a support network in that way.
Yeah.
That's a very open-ended opportunity there. We have coaches that do it as a retirement hobby business, and we have
Hmm.
coaches that are six-figure entrepreneurs really crushing it in their business.
Yeah.
No matter where someone is on that spectrum, we'll help them do whatever it is they wish to do,
Hmm.
however we can. But there's other ways to be a coach too. We have coaches that are more intrapreneurial, meaning they
Hmm.
go on to get hired by other organizations that recognize the value in being a certified coach with our program and then seek out our coaches to hire into their organization.
Hmm.
There's a lot of coaches that end up doing that. We have coaches that are existing medical professionals that take our course to either improve their quality of service if they're already doing, or add additional coaching services on the side, or whatever. We have people in the conventional medical sense in that way, but we also have other holistic healing practitioners and other types of holistic health coaches, of course, that incorporate this knowledge and information into their services. We have one woman, she took what she learned in the course and wrote and performs a musical theater production talking about these kinds of things. Like, which
Wow.
there's so yeah, there's so many
Yeah.
yeah, there's so many different things that people are doing. We have pastors and religious leaders that take the course just to be able to help their congregation and help their people. They're not even charging for it. They just want to be able to help the people that come to them when they're ill. We have people that form their own nonprofit organizations. Look, again, any of the above or anything else that you could possibly think of, if your mission is to help people not suffer and help people empower themselves through education and holistic cancer healing and prevention, we are vested in having you be as successful as possible. So we help you do that no matter what it is that you wish to do. So we do that through a variety of things. We have a very tight knit coaching community.
I was just going to say, it sounds like you guys have a pretty tight community, and you talked about that as well on the podcast that I listened to. And one of the my Precision Health Alliance group, the PH360, it just sounds so much like that. Just wonderful support so that you can help other people, because that's what it's about. Why should we have this information if we're not going to help others?
Yeah,
Right?
exactly.
That's what we should be here for. And how good does it make you feel when you have some information that does help somebody? And I say this all the time. I legit saved some lives when I was a cop, but I legit know that I've saved some lives doing this. And just helping people understand themselves more, and and helping them to we don't and that's the thing with coaches. We're not doing this for anybody. We're not like a doctor and say, I'm prescribing, this is what you have to do. It's meeting people where they are, pushing them a bit out of that comfort zone that got them to exactly where they are and why they reached out for help, right? If you don't want to change, don't hit us up, because it's not going to work. You have to be willing and ready. This is the biggest thing, when people are ready to make these changes. And seeing the difference in people when they start to take charge of themselves mentally and physically, it's a whole different life. And I've looked at labs. I told a new client the other day, I looked at his labs. Literally, I've seen a lot of labs, and I said, this is probably the worst set of labs I've ever seen. Luckily, he's got a good sense of humor. He's like, I know. And within the first 3 weeks, I actually saw him yesterday. He's down 20 pounds. He's feeling better. He's making he's making different choices. And I said to him on our Zoom call last week, I said, I know I save lives here. And I said, I do this because of that. And I 100% feel like you're one of those people. And it's not doing it for them. People say, oh my God, you did this for me. I didn't do anything for you other than give you information so that you make the best decisions based on your uniqueness and what your body, mind, and soul need, right?
Yeah,
Instead, like, because you have the
exactly.
experts, and it's completely different when you can just help someone see who they are and make these changes, because you may prevent a cancer. And I tell people, what if you do get cancer? Do you want to be eating the same shit and sitting on your ass where you're not going to fight it, right? It's just going to be like, go ahead and take me. I am what I am. Or do you want to have your body in a better place going forward to be able to tackle something that could potentially happen, that maybe you started from a crappy lifestyle a while back? Who knows? But I would rather have my body in fighting form and than to be sitting there just waiting for the bomb to
Yeah.
drop. And then when it drops, you're just going to go, okay, I'm going to fall apart, instead of putting on the gloves and going, all right, let's do this. What do I need to do? What do I need to do? Because cancer, I don't think, is the death sentence automatically, the diagnosis that it wasn't used to be, because of things like this and getting people this information. And I'm going to make sure that I get all the links from you so that we can put them in the show notes, So people know how to find, there'll be ways to find the Zoom call, to find your organization, your doctor that that will work with people, and then the different courses. And a question about the courses: do you have to do 1, 2, and 3? Can you go right to number 3? Can you do them out of order, I guess I'm saying, or
Yeah. So
how would that work?
yeah. So like I said, they are cumulative. And so each one includes the previous and then builds upon it. With a purchase of level 2, you get everything from 1 and more. With a
Mhm.
purchase of level 3, you are getting everything. Does that make
Got
sense?
it. Yep.
So yeah,
Yep.
that said, you do have the opportunity to upgrade later, and then you only pay the difference. Does that make
Gotcha.
sense?
It
If
does. Yep.
Yeah,
You're not having to purchase the whole thing
correct,
after
because
you've
they
already got.
exactly, the latter ones include everything that you'd already have, so you can just pay the difference and upgrade later.
Awesome.
Yeah.
What a fantastic conversation. And I'm just blown away by this organization. I wish I wish this was around when we'd known about it when my mom was dealing with this. I
They've
was
been
young. I was
around.
yeah, I was young. I mean, this was 1979. So we're over 40 years in. So your organization was new.
Yeah.
And back then, I remember my parents were just like, "Hey, the doctor says goes, right? You get sick, you go to the doctor." That kind of basic stuff. I didn't know anything about the holistic. I let doctors jack me up for years with antibiotics and all kinds of crap, right? And I didn't even realize there was this holistic realm. Good God, till 20 something years ago was when I started really delving into it. Like 2000, it was about 2006. So I think about how many years I could have wasted, but again, we're on a journey, right? We're on our learning journey, and it's never too late. And that's the other thing I think people need to know, that it's never too late to start delving into taking control of your health. It's not too late if you have been diagnosed with cancer. Look into this organization, get the help you need. Talk to me, talk to, if it's not me, another coach, anybody that's going to get you on track to making the best choices lifestyle wise, so that you can tackle this, or even better, let's prevent. Prevent, prevent, prevent. Your genetics are not your destiny. You are the one in charge. You are in control. So you control freaks out there, that should be hitting you going, hey, something else I might be able to control. Yes, you actually can. And I'm just so glad you reached out, because I think this was a super important conversation. And I am very appreciative that you just laid down the hammer and put it out there very bluntly, that um, you're making your choices. And that's really what it's about. Choices matter 100% in how we're living our life and how we're going to live in the future. And one other thing, I had done another podcast with a woman named Kate King, who's phenomenal, and she deals with trauma and epigenetics. And where you talked about the generational going forward, you can put a stop to it. Like, it doesn't matter how many generations this crap has been going on, that now it's at you. Do you want to pass this to your future children, or the children that are already here? Because epigenetics plays this part. And so much of it is, again, like you said, the thinking, those beliefs, and that energy that we trap generation to generation that affects our genetics. And it's just so much of what you have covered today. I just want to keep diving more into, because I've had bits and pieces as we've gone. And I just love it. And I'm grateful for you, and so grateful that you answered my seeking for a guest. And we're just one of the first ones to pop in and go, me. I was like, this is awesome. So thank you so much. Are there any words you'd like to close with? Any words of wisdom, or one last little hammer of the nail?
Yeah,
Say,
it is a lot of what you were just saying. If you're still alive, you're still in the game. If you're still
yeah,
alive, you're still in the game. There's something that you could be doing. And it doesn't matter what your positioning in the world is, and what your positioning in life is, and what your positioning in health is. There is something you can do to get yourself to a better positioning. It doesn't matter how grave or how dire that positioning seems or how unfortunate it seems and what has brought you to the here and now. There is something that you can do to bring you towards a better state of health and wellness and fulfillment in this existence. But not doing anything is only going to keep you on that same path that has brought you here in the first place. You can't ignore anything in life and expect it to get better. If you don't maintain your car will break down. If you don't maintain your relationship, your spouse will probably leave you. If you don't maintain your body is going to break down all the same. You can't just do nothing. Nothing in life is a net neutral, and nothing in life is random, and nothing in life has no effect on your body. Every single moment of your day to day existence and everything that you do within that day is either bringing you towards a state of health and wellness or bringing you farther away from it and farther into the depths of sickness and unwellness. And the right time to act is now, because the farther you get into the woods, the more difficult it is to find your way out.
Oh, yeah.
And so the time to act is now. Your results in life will be in accordance to what you do and how you act, and what you put in is what you get out. And that's scary. It's essential to take responsibility for being in whatever positioning you're in the here and now. And that sounds scary to do if that positioning isn't so favorable. But on the flip side of that scariness and that responsibility is the empowerment to do something about it and to change it.
I was just going to say, on the flip side, how about empowering instead of scary, right? Because what is it? Fear. Fear is so debilitating in itself. Face everything and rise. Was it like FEA? Face everything and rise, or fear everything and run, right? Which way do you want to look at it? It's all perception. So as soon as you said that, I was, oh my God, then you said it. We're in the same brain. We're right in the same brain. And then the other thing I was thinking was, I just need to take a snip of this last part that you just went off on. I need to just play that every morning, because it's what I think, but you just put it in that way out there that is just, yes, brother, preach. It feels like it needs to be like my morning rampage. Start living. What my favorite line from Shawshank Redemption? One of my favorite lines of all time, right? Get busy living or get busy dying.
There you go. There you go. And it's fun to joke about, but even what you just said is so serious and so powerful, because what we are exposed to becomes our reality. We're always being programmed by something. Anything that you hear is entering your ears and going into your brain. We need to curate that. There's plenty of messaging that is bringing us into a direction of chaos and disharmony and unhealthiness. So when you find something that you feel resonates and does bring you into that positive direction, absolutely listen to it on repeat. Program your mind with what you want to achieve with the positive messaging. Do it. I listen to plenty of things on repeat because, this is good. And so, yeah, it's funny, but it's also real.
It's true. It is. That's the reality of it. If we don't find some humor in this, we're going to go crazy. But I like to make light of things, but it is very serious. I just did my podcast that just dropped today is on mouth breathing, right? I say, we're all talking about mouth breathers, right? And joke around. But then I say, and it's a very serious topic, right? So we can make light of some things, but these are very serious topics in a very serious time. You're going to have to, you make your destiny, people. And it starts with your thoughts, and then it goes to everything else and how you're living your life, right down to those thoughts. If it's anything we can leave people with today is there's hope, you have control, don't wait, take action. Let's start now. When someone says, I don't have to wait till the right time, there's never going to be the right time. Now is the right time, because otherwise you always come up with another excuse why it's not the right time. It's this or that. Get that shit out of your head and start taking action and make a better life for you. Like I said, please share this podcast with everybody on your Facebook pages or your Instagram, because this will resonate with every living human being and anyone whom cancer has touched, which is pretty much every living human being. And if it hasn't touched them yet, it will. So that is a very stark reality of this. Spread the empowerment, spread the hope, spread the help here. And I'm going to go into looking at this the coaching certification program, because I thought, boy, what an extra benefit, because I have, Jesus, I don't even know the number of people I have that are cancer survivors. Yeah. Some who have had recurrences, sadly, who I've seen lifestyle changes go back to some unfavorable things and it came back. And then others I see just thrive. And yeah, so I just, how can we not help? All right, Zakariya, thank you. Thank you. Thank you. I am so grateful you came on, and I would love to stay in touch. You are one of my people. A definite pleasure to have you on there. So we'll have all the contact information. We'll put your link to your podcast on there so that people can continue to listen to you as well. And everybody just go out there, make it a great day, and be your most authentic self. Choices matter.
Thank you, Susan.
Thank you for tuning into my podcast. If you enjoyed this week's episode, I'd love for you to share it with someone who'd find the information useful. Please leave a review anywhere you listen to podcasts, and it'll help the information get out to others. If you're interested in seeing if we're a great fit to work together, the link is in the show notes below, where you can sign up for a free consultation with me. So go make it a great day and let your authentic self shine.